If you've been scrolling through endless specs, watching YouTubers compare every gaming laptop under the sun, and you still can't picture which machine actually fits your life, this review is the shortcut you've been waiting for. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last couple of weeks running the HP OmniBook 5 through a mix of daily work, marathon gaming sessions, and a few creative projects, so I can tell you whether the hype translates into real-world value. First off, let's talk about the kind of person who should even consider a laptop this pricey. You're someone who wants a single device that can handle a 4-hour office Zoom marathon, then flip it over and dive into a AAA title like Cyberpunk 2077 without a noticeable dip in frame rates. You also care about having the latest AI-enhanced tools right at your fingertips. Think Copilot Plus integration that can suggest code snippets while you're debugging, or auto-tagging for photo edits. If that sounds like your daily grind, the OmniBook 5 lands squarely in your lane. Now, if you're a casual gamer who only plays indie titles on weekends, or you already own a decent desktop tower that can be upgraded piece by piece, you'll likely find the price tag hard to justify. The laptop's 16-inch IPS panel and Intel Arc 140T GPU are geared towards sustained high-resolution gaming, but you could get comparable performance from a mid-range desktop for a fraction of the cost. In other words, the OmniBook 5 shines when you truly need the portability of a laptop without sacrificing the horsepower you'd expect from a stationary rig. Let's start with the display, because that's where many gamers decide if they'll stick around. The 16-inch IPS screen offers a crisp 1440p resolution and wide color gamut, which means games look vibrant and text stays sharp even when you're editing a spreadsheet. In practice, I noticed the colors stay accurate during long sessions, and the 165Hz refresh rate made fast-paced shooters feel buttery smooth. The only downside is the brightness ceiling. In a bright office with large windows, you'll have to crank the laptop's position toward the light source to keep the image from washing out. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to keep in mind if you work in well-lit environments. Heat management is a frequent pain point for gaming laptops, and the OmniBook 5 does something interesting here. HP equipped the chassis with a dual-fan system that draws air from the bottom and pushes it out the sides. During a 2-hour gaming marathon of Elden Ring, the fan settled into a steady whir that was audible but never ear-piercing. The chassis stayed warm to the touch, but the keyboard never got hot enough to affect typing. However, under a synthetic benchmark that pushes the GPU to 100% for an extended period, the fan spun up noticeably louder, and the CPU temperatures crept into the high 80s Celsius range. If you plan to run stress tests or stream while gaming, you might notice a slight thermal throttling after the 2-hour mark. Speaking of the keyboard, the backlit layout is a solid blend of travel and feedback. The keys have a moderate actuation distance, which feels comfortable whether you're typing a code file or chaining combos in a fighting game. The RGB lighting is limited to a single white zone, which feels intentional rather than a flashy gimmick. I did find the spacebar a tad shallow for my liking, but after a few days it became a non-issue. The trackpad, while large enough for gestures, isn't something you'd rely on for precise aiming, so a mouse is still the way to go for competitive play. Battery life is where the trade-offs become most evident. With the 99Wh cell, HP promises up to 8 hours of mixed usage. In reality, a typical workday with email, a few spreadsheets, and occasional video calls stretched to about 6.5 hours before the charger begged for attention. Switch to a gaming workload, and the battery dropped to roughly 2 hours before you had to plug in. That's not surprising given the 32GB of LPDDR5X RAM and the 1TB NVMe SSD draining power, but it does mean you'll need to plan for a power outlet if you intend to game on the move. Connectivity is one of the quieter wins. Wi-Fi 6E gives you a solid, low-latency connection for online multiplayer, and the inclusion of a Thunderbolt 4 port means you can daisy-chain an external GPU or connect a 4K monitor without a hitch. I tested the laptop with a 144Hz external display, and the frame rates matched the internal screen's output, proving the GPU can keep up when given a larger canvas. The only missing piece is an SD card slot, which could be a nuisance if you regularly import footage from a camera. Now let's address the AI angle, because HP markets this as an AI-powered machine. The Intel Ultra 9285H includes built-in AI acceleration. An HP software layer adds a Copilot Plus assistant that can suggest shortcuts in Windows 11, generate quick captions for images, and even help you draft emails. In day-to-day use, I found the assistant genuinely useful when writing a quick report. It